All right, Brian. I think you should start out this episode.
Oh, okay. Well, why is that?
Because in Knights of the Old Republic 2, the best astro droid in the world, T3M4, starts off Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Yeah, absolutely. The game starts up, the Ebon Hawk is on fire, and T3 is there to save the day. One of many times that he saves the day as we go into KOTOR 2. So what we thought we would do, we wrapped up the first KOTOR. We did kind of our film adaptation. We've been kind of dabbling a little bit into KOTOR 2, and we have kind of a series hopefully, of episodes planned, and it is called KOTOR 2 On Location, where we're just going to be kind of going around to the different locations, not doing like a super deep dive, but just kind of like a little travel guide, kind of some high points of the locations, just doing a little bit of talking about them, and then, we can always come back and revisit these places, as, we think of more things we want to talk about, or interesting things, or maybe some secret mysteries we want to dive into a little bit. And today, the first location is the Peragus mining facility. So, as you said, Cassia, KOTOR 2 gets started. The Ebon Hawk is on fire. T3 is trying to take control of the ship. Our Mitra Surik is passed out. It doesn't look good. It does not look good for the crew, but luckily T3, the best droid in the world, gets us safely landed at the Peragus mining facility, where we can kick off our game and get into KOTOR 2. It gets the game starting up. So, Cassio, what is the Peragus mining facility? Have we seen it before? Have we seen it since? Probably not since, because it meets an untimely end as we're pulling out of there. But what's up with Peragus?
I think it's cool. It's like a planet or a moon that its core is exposed. I mean, technically, I don't think this would fly in, real physics, but it's Star Wars, so it's okay. But, like, some of its core is exposed, which I guess makes mining easier, But it has a distinctive look that we'll probably have to have as our thumbnail, for the YouTube. And I guess, like, everyone else will just have to imagine what Peragus looks like or search it, But I don't think we've seen it before or since, but I don't know, like, this is going to be the start of a fun series. It's kind of a bit like travel writing, which is a lot of what, like, the Romantics did, because we keep kind of bringing back, in my mind, like, KOTOR to being, like, my dream adaptation is a textbook. So this is the travel writing section.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, Peragus, it's a mining facility. Like you mentioned, what they did there was they mined fuel for engine fuel. They say so, for ships and that sort of thing. So it was really important. It was located in the Outer Rim. It was inside of this asteroid field, and yeah, this is kind of the first time that we'd ever seen it, and we don't see it again after the game. It does get a mention in SWTOR, But yeah, obviously we don't see it again because as we're leaving, like I said, it meets its untimely end, which kind of proves as a plot point as we move through this thing. And it's kind of so the Peragus mining facility. It's basically comprised of a couple of locations that we get to see in the game. So you get to see the mining facility. There's some dormitories there. There's the tunnels that we have to make our way through. There's the exterior section that we're going to see. Kind of the big ship that's been chasing us down. The Harbinger coming in, which is a really cool visual of seeing this thing pulling into the mining facility. But Cassia, of these locations, were there anything that stood out to you, or things that you liked exploring, or just kind of the general tone of these places?
What really stuck out to me was the tone. We kind of discussed this with Dennis, but Knights of the Old Republic 1 is a little bit more like Flash Gordon-y, Hero's Journey, fairy tale, and then this one is kind of like very existential and kind of has a horror tone throughout. So it's kind of like the gothic romance, I think, without much romance.
Right. Yeah, definitely not much romance. Definitely more on the kind of horror, spooky vibes as we go through this thing, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about that here in a bit. But we're getting to Peragus, who we mentioned kind of at the top. T3 is piloting the Ebon Hawk. That's how we get there. But really, the game gets kicked off. When we wake up, you see your character, the Exile. Mitra Surik is kind of floating in this tank of Kolto, and kind of comes out and comes to. Just wakes up in this place. You don't know who you are. You don't know how you got there. You don't know what is going on. But you know that trouble is afoot, and you're running around trying to get answers to some questions. And you don't ever get any very good answers, I guess. But we do meet some very key characters in this place. Most notably is Kreia. She is the kind of first character that we run into and interact with. She's actually in like the morgue because they thought that she was dead, but nah, she was just meditating. But our first introduction to Kreia, and she immediately gets in our head.
Yeah, she tells you to awaken when you're in a Kolto tank. I was about to say Bacta, but I caught myself.
That's right.
And you're kind of just surrounded by a whole lot of no one because everyone is dead. And it's... Playing this the first time, it was a little bit scary. And, like, if anything, when I get older, like, I notice more of the musical cues and, like, it's scary, and it's a little bit much for me. But it's hilarious because, like, Kreia is, like, in the morgue. You think she's dead, and then she just gets up and, like, pulls her hood over her blind eyes, and she kind of just tells you what to do. In a way, like, if the Exile is, like, in purgatory, Kreia's your guide,
Yeah, definitely. She is your guide. Like I said, she kind of immediately gets into your head as you're going through exploring this thing and, trying to figure out how to get off of this place. You don't know how you got there, but you know that you don't want to be there. So you're going to need a little bit of extra help. You run into Atten, who is there as well, introduced to the party. He's been imprisoned, so you're basically left with the option to help him escape so he can help you escape the planet. So our first introduction to Atten, which is pretty exciting. And then as we're making our way off, we're also introduced to Darth Sion as, very, very kind of foggy parts of the memory and how you got there start to come together. I'd mentioned the Harbinger comes in, and that's kind of an important part of your story leading up to the events of KOTOR 2. But yeah, we meet Atten, we meet Darth Sion, and we're starting to, just get the fuzzy imagery together of what happened to get us to this place.
Yeah. In a way, the trio of KOTOR 3 may be Kreia, the Exile, and Atten, and you meet them all here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So you're... To give a little bit of context, basically we were on the Harbinger at some point, and then had to flee when Darth Sion kind of came on board and took over the ship, and he's been in hot pursuit of you because as we're piecing back together, we are the Jedi Exile. We had gone off and joined Revan, did some bad things. We went back to the Jedi Council to ask for forgiveness, but instead we were exiled, so we were just kind of hanging out in the Outer Rim, and that is kind of how we got to this point of our story. But we're going to talk a little bit more about this location. Cassia, there's some interesting stuff there. So like I said, we kind of go through the tunnels, you have the dormitories there, kind of all of this really, I don't know, sort of interesting thing. But are there kind of story beats to this location that you really thought were interesting, or things maybe that you think would make for a good conversation a little bit later on down the line? Or what about Peragus stood out to you as being interesting, I guess?
Do you know what we should have done? Probably like made a whole like Halloween episode or something, or I guess that's still that could still happen, and like kind of make this like a true crime podcast, Peragus edition,
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
because it's kind of like you have to solve the murder of the Peragus mining facility, like what happened there, and no one's on the Harbinger, but then you figure out there actually are people on the Harbinger. They're just like wearing like stealth suits or just hiding themselves in the Force, and then you see Darth Sion, and wow, it's just like whoever wrote this is like, how do we creep people out, but still like
Yeah.
make it Star Wars? So that's kind of what stood out to me, and I don't know, like adapting this, because like even though I am trying to make the best English textbook of all times, like of all time, my mind kind of goes like, but how would you adapt this? What is the best way to adapt this? And maybe it could just be a true crime podcast release, like for Star Wars Halloween or something.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I think that is a good idea because, yeah, kind of the underlying theme of our time here on Peragus is, yeah, there's a lot of mystery, there's a lot of bad stuff going on. So we're in the dormitories. You're seeing all of the miners are there. They're unfortunately they're no longer with us, and you're kind of recovering these recordings and things. That's very spooky. It's very interesting, and yeah, I think that would make definitely a good sort of Halloween tale. And then of course, as you're going through this kind of empty vessel, the Harbinger, and running into Sith assassins, and then ultimately Darth Sion, who confronts the party. Yeah, I think that would be a really excellent Halloween tale, and one I think that we're probably going to have to lean into and talk about. And I also I think it's interesting that this big ship finally kind of catches up with you, and you're on this place right off of the bat. So yeah, a lot of pretty cool stuff for Peragus. One of the things we talked about with Dennis, we talked about how this was a really good kind of opening section of the game to really kind of tell our story here. And we both kind of think of it, or at least I do, I guess, as this is really kind of a tale of atonement, and kind of this purgatory story. Cassia, what do you think about that? Do you think that is this a purgatory story, and do you think that Peragus is a good kind of stepping off point to tell that story?
I think you meant Purgastory.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm here with the really good puns.
That's right.
But yeah, I think in this story, the exile began as a Jedi, which I guess is kind of like normal life, and then Malachor is hell. And then they were kind of exiled, and then I would say like they kind of have to go through their past, and kind of they have to move through the past to like create any future for themselves, I think. And that's something like we talked about with Dennis, is like maybe the thesis of KOTOR 2 is self-acceptance. It just says this is where you are right now. It's just you. There's no great revelation, only you. And that's why Peragus is probably a good beginning level, because it introduces you to a lot of the main characters. But it's just you, and it's creepy, and you have to figure stuff out alone.
Yeah, exactly. I too, I think that this is a really good kind of starting off point for the story. I really like the atmospheric parts of it, and yeah, I think that this does kind of play into that purgatory story a lot. And obviously for the exile, our Mitra Surik character, but really kind of everyone, right? So Mitra Surik is incapacitated in the Kolto tank. She awakens. Kreia is presumed dead. She awakens. Darth Sion is presumed dead on the Harbinger. He comes back, he awakens, and even like T3, the hero of KOTOR 2, he's disabled and has to awaken. So everyone's kind of awakening on this mining facility as we start our story. And I think that definitely kind of leans into kind of this purgatory tale where everyone is waking up, kind of in basically the bottom of this mountain to climb, so to speak, kind of, how Dante described it. And, what is kind of the beginning steps of that tale that we learn. And that was, kind of the tale of the excommunicate. And that is exactly what Mitra is, right? She's been cast out of the Jedi Order as an exile, just spending the last however many years it's been in the Outer Rim, and, kind of awakening herself to begin this trial, to go through her own journey of atonement, and to, hopefully get out of purgatory, I guess.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I guess Atten is the one outlier. He doesn't awaken, he's just in a cage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's... One thing I wouldn't mind is leaving some of the 2005... Or is it 2004 it came out?
I think it came out at the tail end of 2004 on the Xbox.
Okay. Yeah, kind of leaving some of the dated 2004 Atten's flirting.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least, like, kind of acknowledging, like, he has work to do, and see some, I don't know, maybe Beauty and the Beast action where he becomes a little bit better, more well-rounded,
Right.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think definitely you could play that off a little more subtle, maybe in the way that he's doing it, and not written as the early 2000s kind of male character here to our female exile, Mitra Surik. So yeah, definitely could do some freshening up of that bit of the story for sure. But yeah, and I didn't mention him. Yeah, everyone else was kind of presumed dead and awakened, and he was there imprisoned and kind of freed to go on this journey with us as well. And then the other thing that I kind of can connect to, like, a purgatory story, is that the only way to get out of here is you actually have to go back through the Harbinger, this ship that you had at one time been on, and kind of face the fact that you were basically that you were on that ship because you had been exiled from the from the Order of the Jedi. So you have to kind of face that, go through the belly of the beast, so to speak, in order to get out of this first step of purgatory. So I think that there are some really cool kind of connections there if you think about the story of Knights of the Old Republic 2 in that sense, as an atonement sort of tale.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the name of the ship is the Harbinger, and it's kind of like the Harbinger of Doom,
Mm-hmm.
Which is a bit of a trope quote, and there is doom to be had, so it's
yeah.
applicable and accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. There is doom to be had because, as we're making our way finally off of, the Peragus mining facility, the Harbinger, gives chase. There's a bit of a space battle, and then our first stop in KOTOR 2 gets blown up, and that is going to cause great troubles for the people of Telos, and sort of these deals that we had for fuel, which is kind of, I guess, sort of the driving force in the story, at least for the first little bit of the game, as we're trying to kind of solve that and figure out what we're doing. But that is kind of in very short terms our time on Peragus. I think that there's some more stuff that we could definitely talk about. I definitely think that we definitely need to look at kind of the more horror, true crime kind of aspects of what was going on with the miners. And we run into, of course, HK50, who's been activated to basically hunt us down, and kind of got this whole thing kind of kickstarted. So I think that there are some really fun kind of creepy criminal elements we could look at, and I think that would be really fun. But yeah, I think this is a really good way, and I kind of think that these kind of short like travel brochure documentary kind of things will be fun to do as we go through KOTOR 2 and get into the story a little bit.
Yeah. Anything else that we should add?
No, I think that is going to do it for our Peragus primer, our KOTOR 2 on location, the Peragus mining facility. So, let us know if you're listening out there, watching on the YouTube. Send us a message. You can do that like on Twitter or my Instagram, or like I said in the YouTube comments. Let us know what your favorite kind of aspects of Peragus were, if there were any of the side missions or any of the character interactions that you really liked. Let us know, and maybe we'll throw those into deep dive on a little bit later as we kind of weave our way through the KOTOR 2 locations. But yeah, I think that that kind of sums it up and gets us off of the mining facility and on to our next location, Cassia.
All right, and may the force be with you.